Hello, all. Welcome to week 2 of our Level Up with Curate education series. We have quite a few people that are jumping in. I see lots of people joining since we've just launched it. We see lots of people joining. We're going to give it 1 or 2 minutes and we're going to get started. So go ahead and grab your coffee, grab your tea, whatever you need to encourage you today and get your mind going. Go ahead and grab it. You got a minute or two. Okay, we're going to jump in. I'm going to go ahead and tone down our sound just a little bit here. Welcome. Welcome to week 2 of our Level Up with Curate series. I'm super excited about this series. We have last week we really dug into like setting the foundation, the settings, some other pieces that kind of go into building your account. This week, what we're going to be focusing on is the event workflow and design. So, this week is still a little bit more higher level since we're going to have people from all industries here today. Next week, our webinar is going to be split. So, if you are floral or planning, you're going to want to go to the first webinar in the morning. If you are catering or a venue, you're going to want to attend the second webinar because that's when we get more into the nitty gritty of some industry specific pieces. But for today, I just want to say welcome. Thank you so much. We're so glad that you're here. Um, if you're new here, we're Curate. We're a software that helps event pros like you stay organized, save time, try to avoid as much chaos as possible. If I haven't met you before, I'm Shannon. I'm a self-proclaimed Curate expert. I say that I am. Hopefully, it's true. I pretty much know all of the ins and outs of our system, and I'm really passionate about helping people improve their workflows, helping them find tips and tricks to save time and actually generate more revenue. It all kind of flows together in there. So I'm Shannon. Glad to be here. We've got Brooklyn that's joining us here as well. She's a product manager here at Curate. So anything beautiful, honestly, that you see in the system is thanks to Brooklyn. She is so artistically oriented and she has a great sense of structure and the way that things should flow. And so all of that stuff really has to go as a thanks to Brooklyn. We've also got Joshua, one of our support heroes, with us today. So he's somebody that would be in that chat box if you're chatting with our team over here. Joshua is going to be one of those people that's going to be helping over there. So he's going to join us for to help with chat today. Brooklyn and I will be the ones that are presenting. Before we jump in, there's just a few links that you may want to check out. So we've got a link for product feedback. If you haven't saved it, go ahead and grab that. Go ahead and bookmark that link. Save it to your computer so that you have that, and you can just quickly put suggestions and things like that onto the uh, for anything that you would like to see in the system. It's just a great way for us to know what people are really asking for. The other thing that we have is our Curate community. So we tried to do a little promotion last week to get people posting, and I think there was a little disconnect on our side. It was week one of us trying to figure some things out. Um, we have a Curate community. It's a place where you can connect with other people that are using the system actively. We have Brooklyn is sharing two links there. One of them is you have not signed up for the Curate community, which we have quite a few people who have. The other one is if you have already signed up and you just need to log in, that's going to be that other link. But if you will go and post in the Curate tips and tricks with, it doesn't even have to be your best tip, but a tip that really has made an impact on your flow, just post it in there so that others can see that. We'll be sending over a Starbucks gift card. So, or if you want something else, just let us know. But I think a lot of people right now like a Starbucks gift card with the weather. So yeah, go ahead and do that. And lastly, we kind of talked about this last week. If you do attend 4 of the 5 sessions, we will be sending over a Curate certification. So, this is something for you, something that you can have. It really is a badge of honor to show the work that you've invested, the time that you've invested into being a better event pro and managing the systems that help manage your events. So, it's a really great thing. Feel free to drop your questions, your ideas, your tips, all of that right into the chat. And Joshua will be watching that throughout. But after that, grab your notepad. We're going to dive in together. And we've got some great tips coming your way today. So, like I said, today we're going to be talking about the event workflow and really on the design side of the events, different things that you can do to structure your proposals, things that we see across the power users in the system. That's what we're going to be talking about today. The very first thing that we will be talking about is going to be the inquiries. Now, you can start a proposal from right here and click plus new event. But I really, really recommend that you use the inquiries that are already in Curate. Many people do not actually know that we have a place where you can build your own personalized form that you can put on your website, that you can share with your customers, and funnel all of your leads into one location. So you're not looking in 12 different places, trying to manage things in 12 different places. You can funnel it right into the same system. One of the beautiful things about that is then you can turn that into a proposal. You can use that data, turn it into a proposal, and that information is connected to that event for the life of the event. Okay. So, Brooklyn, our style guru over here, she is going to be the one that is going to be guiding us through that. So, I'll pass it over to you, Brooklyn. I'll stop sharing right now. I'll pass it over to you if you want to share your screen and start walking us through the forms.
Yeah, sounds great. I think Shannon's giving me too much credit here, so we'll see, we'll see. But let me go ahead and share and we'll dive into the forms. Alrighty. Okay. I think we've got it shared now. So, as Shannon mentioned, utilizing the Curate forms is going to be a great tool to just keep everything all in one place. If you're not utilizing them, you will find them. Just to kind of back step here, you're on the main page. You'll go to your inquiries folder over on the left side. And so this is going to be kind of your starting point to not only manage incoming inquiries, whether those are leads or follow-up forms, from current customers where you need additional information, but you can also create your forms. So we're going to start with that, how you put one together. You'll see that we have a variety of forms already in this account. This is just our little demo account that we do. But you can name the forms. So a lot of times folks will have, a variety of forms. Maybe they guide them towards certain types of events that they do. Maybe you have a corporate form that's focused towards your corporate clients, or you have a wedding form that's focused towards reaching out to those wedding clients, or maybe even have just a form as like a follow-up. A lot of times folks will utilize that. Maybe you have a true like inquiry form, and then once that inquiry kind of comes into the process, you might have a follow-up questionnaire for your clients to fill out as you're kind of in the production mode and working towards that. You can also utilize forms in that way. So, Inquiries live here. You can create a brand new form by clicking this button up in the top, and this will get you going with a brand new form. Where I'm going to actually click into one that we already have created just to save us a bit of time because I know we have a lot of areas we want to cover today. So I'm going to click into this wedding inquiry form, and we'll kind of start here. There are a few things that I want to point out. So first, with creating and styling it, if you didn't know, with part of the process of creating the form, not only can you build out the questions, but you can also add an aesthetic styling to it, either to match your own branding or to make sure it looks cohesive on your website, because you can place these on your website as well. So you'll see over here, we kind of added some special colors to it to kind of go with this logo. You can change the font style. You'll access all of that from clicking this button up at the top that says style with the little like art palette. So if you click this, it opens up a slide out on the left-hand side, and then you'll see that this comes up open and you can click in, and this is how you would edit any of this. So maybe I want this to be a little bit of a lighter peach tone. I could apply that. You'll see that it changes there in my preview. You can edit the color of the button down at the bottom for folks to submit that. You can edit the text styling of the font, all sorts of things. A nice thing too is once you have maybe a style that you do like, you can also copy styles from other forms. So if you kind of go through the process and create a form and you have the aesthetics of the colors and the fonts, we don't want you to have to do that on every single form. So this is just a quick and easy way that you can then copy those styles. And then once you pick which form that you want to copy, you can apply and it'll override these selections here. So just something to consider as you're building out your form. And then you'll also be able to fill in, we kind of structure it at the top. You'll see you can name it. So create a unique name. The form name is there. You can also select a branch depending if your account has multiple locations. You can assign certain forms to certain branches. You can choose to display the logo. That's totally up to you and just your preference. If it's displayed, it'll, be centered at the top. But if you don't want it on there, you can always just keep it straight to business with the questions. Your choice there. The form description is going to be the text right underneath your logo, and that's just a little section for you to maybe add some clarity of what this form is for. Again, maybe you have different forms for different reasons. You can put a little messaging there. Confirmation is going to be a text area that you can add once the form is submitted. This will appear on the screen, so you can add a little note there as well just to let folks know either maybe your response time or thank you for submitting the form. You can add that in there. You'll also, I want to point out, be able to send an automated email response. Now, this is optional, but this is super helpful for folks, especially to save time. You can select an email template, so you'll see your email templates. Now, I think we touched on maybe some templates last week, but you'll want to create this email template from your templates folder. But this is a great tool to utilize in this space because once this form has been submitted, this optional email response, if you select one here, this will send the email directly to your customer. And a lot of times folks want to have a little bit more context than maybe just the confirmation message up top. So this could be a space where you include, we've seen folks like to include like a Calendly link, like some type of booking link so that you can have your clients directly schedule with you. We've seen folks want to add in additional just messaging, maybe on some next steps, maybe another form. There's all sorts of ways you can add to that email template there. As far as the questions go, you'll be able to add them. We'll go down here at the bottom and I'll add one for us. But you can see we have all different kinds of questions. You can drag and drop them. So if you want them in a particular order, you forgot a question, you add it at the end, you want to move it to the top, you can do that. But you'll also see these toggles. So it's up to you if a question is required. If it is set to required, then the customer won't be able to submit the form unless that is filled out. So sometimes it's nice to have those particular fields that you know for certain that you need as part of your workflow. You'll want to make sure those are set to required. So I'm going to add a new question down at the bottom and I'll kind of walk us through how that works. So once you add the question at the end, we can select what type of question we want. So for this one, I want to let's see, let me look over here. So we have some great questions going on. So we have like, what is the date? How many guests? This one's wedding focused. We have some, what event space do you want? Maybe we want to ask about like allergies. That's always a popular question that we get from curators is wanting to make sure that the vendor is aware of any type of allergies. So I'm going to put that in. Let's see, short answer. Actually, let's see. Maybe that's
It's a long
a
answer.
long answer there. Yes. Okay. So I want to connect this. This is an event property. So this is just a tool that you can use within Curate. You can link these questions to your event properties so that this will connect kind of the pieces once you convert the event. So I want to make sure that this is required because this is important. And so maybe we want to ask, are there any allergies to be aware of? Please list them here or um, but let's just say like an A if it doesn't apply. So we can make sure that that's required. We can add that there, and then we're gonna just save this up at the top. One thing that I want to point out is that the great thing with being able to edit this form is that once you share this, which is the button here at the top, um, you can either share it as a URL, which is really helpful if you want to place this within social media. A lot of folks like to, they don't even have websites. We hear that often. They get a
Yeah.
lot of their business just directly from social media these days. So maybe that's one of you all on the call. If you don't have a website or you just get a lot of traction on your social accounts, you can place this URL. We've seen folks either directly embed it on their pages or utilizing like a link tree option. But you can just copy. You can kind of tell the color of the button kind of flashes. That's letting you know it's copied. So you would want to use it there. You can also copy and paste this into other emails as well for just like a URL easy access. The other option down here is a code snippet. And the code snippet is helpful if you put this on your website. So this is if you're embedding this on your website and you would be able to grab this kind of like back-end development code essentially, and then easily place this copy and paste into your website. So to go back with saving and editing, it's great with these links because the link is always going to stay the same. So if you do this once and you put this on your website or you link this on your social accounts, and maybe something changes, evolves, and you want to add additional questions or you want to change something on your form, you can easily go back into Curate, make those adjustments, and then save it, and then that pushes it live. So very similar to the experience with our portal and making those edits and being able to just share the portal link once, and then those edits within the event planning process kind of go live as you edit that way too. So some great little tips and tricks there. Once someone fills out the form, you'll be able to manage it as well. So it's a really an easy flow. You can create the form goes on your website or maybe on your social account. A client fills out the form, and then that inquiry process goes straight into Curate. So again, just full circle loop of keeping everything in one place. You'll be able to access it here. You can manage those inquiries. You can see different statuses. You'll be able to see the email tied to the inquiry. You can see what type of form. Again, if you have multiple different types, you'll be able to see that here. You can see the date that it was received. You'll be able to assign these during the process of clicking into the form and editing it. And then if you have multiple branches, it would associate which branch it's tied to. So I'm going to click into this one. Looks like we just got this one here just a minute ago from Amelia. So if I click into Amelia's inquiry, I'll be able to manage this over here by clicking the pencil tool. I can add tags, which is helpful. A lot of our curators like to utilize our tags feature to stay organized. So you can add tags to your forms as well. Some folks like to assign them to certain users. Maybe you want to add a tag that would be simply that you're in the follow-up phase. However you want to organize this, you could. You can also assign this to particular users in the account if you wanted. You can change the status. You can leave notes. Sometimes folks will, follow up with a phone call. They'll have some type of consultation. And then prior to them converting this into an event, you might want to leave some notes here kind of during that consultation phase. So you can manage this form here. You can also decide to email. So you can send an email directly from this form. Maybe you're not quite yet to or you're not quite ready yet to convert it. You can also choose to send an email. Maybe you want to kind of have that consultation, you receive the inquiry. You can then select either an email template or, make your content here on the screen. Email templates are selected up top. You can see it'll directly go to the email address that was associated, but you can also add additional. You can CC yourself. Um, so you'll be able to email directly. You can also merge into an existing event. This is helpful for, again, if you have those follow-up forms. If you came from our Curate Classic software, you're probably familiar with this feature, but this is a huge time saver. If someone is completing a form and you want to link this to an existing event, you can now click up here. You'll be able to select the event. And then it'll tell you if there's any conflicting properties. So this would just give you a little bit of a warning if you are going to merge this into the new event. It would kind of override these little I guess details just to let you know that this is updating. So sometimes that's great because you're getting new information and you want to update that. So it's just letting you know that's going to be updated. And then you'll also be able to convert the event. So I'm going to let Shannon kind of cover converting the event. But before I do that, I just want to touch on one more kind of um useful, helpful tip here of managing your inquiries. You also have the ability to multi-select, and then you can have different kind of actions here. You can either archive in bulk, you could delete, you could mark as follow-up. So there are some ways that you can do some cleanup as well. You also have the ability to do filters if you want to filter to any particular statuses. And you can also visualize those tags if you're utilizing tags and you want to see those kind of same process as on your event list. That's a feature for you there too. So hopefully I didn't take up too much time, but I wanted to just make sure that we went through the areas of inquiries. And if you have any questions as I kind of went through that, make sure to let us know. You can chat us. Joshua's here to help. So let us know if you have any questions about inquiries, and we'll make sure that we answer them for you. But yeah, the next step of the process would be from here to convert it. And then I'm going to let Shannon kind of go through that process and how that works.
Hey, awesome. Thank you, Brooklyn. So good. Brooklyn did talk about sending this email from here. One thing that we see, it's kind of a common workflow. Sometimes people want those auto responses, like what Brooklyn was talking about, how you can just say immediately that you get a confirmation in their inbox or get that form where they can fill it out. Other times I'll see people, they'll have it come in and they'll say, am I available on this date? Then they will send them an email from here, whether they are available or if they're not available. So it just helps them immediately filter out or check the budget question. That's a big one. Check the budget question, see if they are in your range. If they are not in your range, you could send them an email suggesting some other people, some other vendors that might be a better fit for them. So it's a nice thing that you can just email them directly from here, have some pre-filled information to send over to them. It can be handy. Um, Although right here, now once that has come in, so jumping on back onto that workflow, now once that form has come in, now let's convert it into a proposal. Um, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click convert to new event. That's what we're going to use. Okay. So for this one, we're playing the part of a venue today that provides catering service and floral and design service, the Jolly Event Co. That's going to be us. For this one, we're providing service for their reception, not for the ceremony. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to duplicate from the event. I'm going to use this Union Station wedding template. Now, I'll just go back to this that we kind of talked about last week is it is really in your favor to have an event set up that you can use as your starting place. It's probably my number one tip for people. The easiest thing for you to do that's going to save you the most amount of time is to make sure you have really good templates. If you have 15 minutes, work on your proposal template. Work on these other templates that you have over here, which we're going to look at a couple of those today. We're going to actually use some of those today. But that is probably one of my number one tips. Work on your templates because that keeps giving and giving and giving and giving. It keeps saving time over and over again. So I'm going to use this Union Station wedding template. Okay. Now, right here, it is going to fill in, and now I want to put the event name. So I know that this is the Smith Richards wedding. Um, Smith and Richards wedding. You could be asking for the fiance's name or whatever in here. It's going to list me as the owner, and I've got this as my branch. You can choose a different branch or choose a different owner. One thing to note is that whatever your settings are from your template, it will fill in those settings here as well. So if you're using that template, it's going to fill in that information here as well. Your customer does autofill. That's going to show right there. And if you have a secondary person that you want to associate, sometimes that's a planner, sometimes that's a the future spouse that can go there in that associated contact. You can fill that out. The date will autofill, and we set it up for the start time and the end time to autofill. This is where you can set the color. Now, we talked about color last week. It could represent the type of event, or it could represent um, um, something about that event, who owns that event or something like that. It can represent different things about that event. Now, the thing about this one is we are going to be highlighting what we call bookable spaces today. So this customer, she actually wants to use the grand ballroom. That's the event space that she wants. We have quite a few places that we're looking off of. So we're going to use that while we're setting this up. I'm going to go ahead and choose the grand ballroom. Um, Now on this one, I will make a little note here. This is for the reception. This was going to be for their wedding time. I'm actually going to go in and we're going to say from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's the time that we're going to book that grand ballroom for. So I'm going to update that event time. All right. Now it did plug in the location here. This is going to be the Basilica in St. Louis. So you can put those things in there. Fills in our guest count. Go down here and click your payment template. I'm going to choose a wedding. We've got that's going to be the timeline that we're going to use or the template for payments that we're going to use. All right. Now once we've gone through that flow, those are the pieces that's going to be there. I'm going to go ahead and click create and it is going to push me right into the proposal. Okay. All right. So now we've jumped in. We've jumped into the event. We've got this right here where it is plugging in the name of the event right here. It's going to autofill the event date that's in here. What we're going to look at now, what we're going to focus on now is going to be more of the aesthetic pieces, more of the setup of the proposal, and the way that things display on the proposal. Next week, we're going to be looking more at the back of house. So we are talking about event management, but we're looking more at back of house. So the really nitty gritty of managing it. So today it's going to be a simple proposal that we're going to send over to our customer. Okay. We did use that bookable spaces already. So now let's move on to the aesthetics. This is what we already have built out from our template. Whenever I duplicated, it was already here. See that we've got the theme of event autofilling. We've got allergies autofilling right in there. Now I chose the 26th as my event date. That's here. Just note that the other event that I was duplicating from was also the 26th. So this information is autofilling right there. We've got our inspiration board that is showing here, and then we're going to go right into the proposal. We can see all of these pieces down here at the bottom, down here. Okay. Um, so for actually structuring this proposal, the thing that we see most often that people use that makes the biggest impact, you can go over here. Something that people sometimes don't realize is that you can rearrange these sections in whatever order that you want those sections to display. Sometimes people want the inspiration board at the very top. You may want to rearrange those You can. In the proposal, you can make it whatever order that you want to display it in. Just grab it, drag it, and move it wherever you want it to go on the proposal. You can choose to hide them. Like maybe I don't want to show the floor plan just yet. So maybe I'll hide that one. The customer's not going to see it just yet. And then later on, I'm going to come back and I'm going to display that floor plan so that she can see that now. If I go down here and click add content, this is how you can choose what other pieces do I want to put into my proposal to customize this proposal for this customer. One big update, so if you're familiar with our legacy platform, one big update is you can now do multiple inspiration boards on a proposal. So in this case, we're just doing the reception for this customer. So we probably just want to do the inspiration board for the reception. But you may have one that you want to do one for the ceremony, one for the reception. You may have a really good inspiration board for a certain menu that they pick out with some very aesthetically pleasing photos that you're putting in there to kind of get their appetite going. You can have a special inspiration board for that. This is a different style of inspiration board right here. Here's the inspiration cover container. You can see that with this arrangement of photos with the little logo box right here that you can fill in. It's got those pieces there. We will take a look at this color palette in just a moment, but the color palettes, you can pull colors from your images using the color dropper. We're going to take a look at that in just a minute. This minimalist cover, it is very minimalist. We do see this one more on like the venue spaces and the catering spaces. If you have a very streamlined flow, you have a lot of proposals to get out in a short amount of time, you might like to use this very clean minimalist cover where it just displays your logo. It can autofill the name and the date. It can autofill some information on there. We also have this sprout cover container. I'll give you a tip. This sprout cover container is really great if you have a long logo, okay? Sometimes these square logo boxes um do not fit people that have a very like a longer logo, a more horizontal logo. This sprout cover container is so good for that. You can make a really nice display, almost like a banner up here at the top if you have that longer image in there. You don't necessarily have to have that logo right there. It won't display. The other one that we have is going to be the Brilliance theme. This one is, or the Brilliance cover container. It just allows you to display those images in a different way to kind of show those off on the proposal. The Excellence cover container, we see this more often for weddings, wedding focused events. We'll see this one. It's a nice little arrangement. We've got it to where you can share documents with your customers. So if you have some items that you might want to share with them, have them be available, you can have it here in the documents section. Um, I'm going to go ahead and add that into the proposal just to kind of show off that functionality. So that's going to populate there at the bottom. The other containers that we have is this single image container, which I will show that off in the floor plan that we have. Ways that I'll see people use this single image container. Let me go ahead and scroll down so that you can see it. We have a single image container right now to display the floor plan. So this is how it's going to look. This is going to be the arrangement of all the tables and chairs. Other ways that I see people use this one is maybe for a mock-up that you're doing in Canva to kind of put some pieces together and you want to fully display that in here, you can. Even certain photos that you really want to highlight, you can put them here in this single image container. It's a great place to create basically your own cover container for what you want your customer to see, what can be the introduction. It can even be like a sheet of data, anything that you want it to be that you want to display to your customer. But really, my favorite box, if you had to ask, is this header and text box. It is so flexible. I love this box. Whenever you click add to proposal, it's going to populate down here at the bottom, right down here. And then you can grab it and drag it anywhere that you need it to go. So I'm going to grab it. I'm going to put it right here above the payment section. I'm actually going to grab this floor plan and I'm going to drag it beneath the payment section right there. So you can just rearrange these in whatever order that you want them to be. In this header box right here, it is so flexible, but you can use these personalization tokens. So if you are asking something very particular to them, you can personalize those in these boxes. So in this case, um, what we have up here, I'm going to do this one as my example. I have it personalized by the event date. I just plugged in the event date. So anytime I use this one to create a new proposal, that event date is going to automatically be there with the token. You can do that as for any of these containers where they have that in a header right there. So let me go back down to my example one. So you can personalize that. Something that I'm seeing more and more often with this text box is a box that people call something like something to the tune of ready to book. It's a place where you can guide your customer through that flow. Take them on that journey. Don't let there be questions about what is happening on this event or how do I move forward or what's the next steps. Write the vision and make it plain. Help them to see exactly what they need to do in order to move forward because they're going to see this, they're going to see your event, they're going to be wowed by everything that you've put in front of them. Make it easy for them to move forward. So put those directions in here, ready to book. So you may say like um sign the contract to show you're ready to move forward. Make the deposit by clicking on the link below. So they're going to have that contract that's going to be in there. And then on for the deposit, ideally you'll be set up with Curate payments where you can have that button where they can just click on that to pay now and they can just enter their card information and they're set. They're ready to move on. I know we talked about Curate payments last week, but I'll just hit on it again. That is another one of those pieces that really takes it off of you to have to think about accepting payments. There's nothing better than that like dopamine hit that you get in the morning whenever you see that there's been a payment processed in your account at 1 a.m. the night before. It's so good. That is another piece. So you can put some pieces in here of things that they need to do. You can fully format this to be whatever you want it to be. Everything I'm doing today really is minimal, but you can format it. You can have steps with check marks of things that they need to walk through, and you can check it off as they go as pieces that they're doing. um, do different headers, all the formatting that you may want to do. You can do that in here in this box. You can also link something in here. So if you want to link something for them to take a look at, um, check out our terms and conditions. You can link those terms and conditions right here. So if you want to add a link there for them to just click over and see something or check out our frequently asked questions or something like that, they can click on that link and that will open up that link. But this box is so flexible for anything that you want to put, and you can put it in multiple different places in the proposal. Another way that I've seen people use this is they'll put it at the bottom with those frequently asked questions. They'll just put it down here at the bottom of the proposal. So if they need to, they can scroll down there to see that information. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and hide this guy just for our journey today. But if I go up here, let's jump into this cover container right here. Okay. I'm going to click on this pencil icon. This is where you can change the header. You can change the subtitle. This is where you can manage those images that are going into that cover container. If you have one of these and you think, this really isn't a good example for this proposal, you can go in here and you can replace that image by just choosing something else from your media library. All of that's going to be here in the system. You can also adjust the images. So maybe, let me get this one. Maybe I want to focus a little bit more on this piece. I'm just going to adjust it. You can kind of crop it a little bit right here within the system to get it focusing more on some specific area that you want to show. So I can click save. It will actually do that cropping functionality and update that here. You also can rearrange your images by grabbing this little grippy box right here. I don't know if you see me. If you got this little grippy, you can just grab them, rearrange them right here in the proposal. Oh, let me uh, get this back in order here. Brooklyn's going to say, what are you doing to my proposal? She really is the master. But you can rearrange them, rearrange the order or whatever that you want them to go in here. Now, down here on the color palette, this is one of those areas that is not widely, I consider it not widely known. You can turn off the color palette. If you are not using the color palette, to be honest, we see a lot of caterers. They don't need a color palette to show off to their customer. They don't want those white boxes hanging out there. Just toggle it off so that it doesn't show at all. You're totally fine to do that. All right. But with the color palette, if you want to, you can use this color dropper. So I've got this little bubble on my screen. Hopefully everybody can see the bubble as it's going around. I've got this little bubble on my screen where I can go and I can choose a specific color that I want to display on my color palette. You can choose it from the images. Now, something that I like to do that I kind of see is like I've got Brooklyn up on my screen here right now. I'm going to choose a color from her shirt. If it is an image that is somewhere on your desktop, it doesn't have to be a part of this color. It doesn't have to be a part of this page. I have a second screen up here. You can pull that color from that second screen over there. So you can feel free to just pull that color from anywhere. It is so easy. If you have their inspiration um, pick up, you can pull those colors. Of course, you can use the color palette. I'm not the best, but you can use the color palette if you want to pull those things. Okay. Um, the other thing that I wanted to show here, I'm trying to make sure that I'm checking all of the boxes that are here. A lot of times, whenever people will submit a form, you may ask for images on that form. Something that we didn't say earlier, or maybe Brooklyn did say it, was you can choose who gets alerted whenever a form comes in. So you're going to get an email with that form information so that you can see it, but more importantly, that data goes into Curate. Once I've converted that form, you're going to have a little box. I love this little event overview box. There is so much power packed into this box. If you go over here to the inquiries page, you can see all of the questions and all of the answers that they submitted um, to on the form right here. You can see all of the everything that they submitted. I can see, okay, there are shellfish, that they need to be aware of or whatever. You can see all of those. I can see these images here. Now, if I want to add those images into my inspiration board, I'm going to click on this pencil icon right here. Here's another color palette. Here you can choose between 3 and 4 columns. Sometimes people want a shorter board. So they may want a shorter board. You can choose 3 or 4 columns, just to take up less space, still get the full impact because your customer can click on those photos just so that all of the photos in Curate, if your customer is looking at them on the portal, they can click on that photo and make it full size. Everything that you're looking at, they can click at full size. But if I'm in here and I want to select an image, I want to add the images that they submitted into my inspiration board, okay? I'm going to go over here to my uploads folder. All right. Here's the ones that this customer submitted to me, and I want to grab these and add those right into that image box right there. So you just choose the ones that you want and go ahead and add those in there. Okay. Now, for your media library, I'm going to click select image again. For your media library, just a couple of tips and tricks here. You can move images. I know people get overwhelmed by images that they may have in their media library. You can delete them if you think that you will never use them again, or you can just move them to a folder. You can move them some other place to kind of get those cleaned up a little bit. If it's a photo that you do really like and you think, wow, I think I will use this one again, you can change things about that item. In this case, I'm from a select place, so I can't go in and change the name of it or something like that. But um, you can save those so that you can search for them again in the future. But just quick management. I can choose the ones that I want. I can move that to a folder. I want to move that to my uploads folder. That way, I'm getting my list a little bit more cleaned up here. Or I can even upload media or create folders from here as well. Okay. All right. So you can see all of those items that are there. That way you can use those images that they submitted on your proposal. That allows us to go in here. Now, another little tip, I see people will say that maybe a photo gets in here and you think, oh my gosh, how did that photo get in here? I don't want that. You can go in here, maybe it's of a different space or something. Let me find one that I don't want. Maybe this one. I was like, oh, this doesn't go with their vibe. You've got this little X button right here, and you can delete that image right here on from this page so that it'll be here. Sometimes people are not fans of this, the way that this lays out. See that we've got this little gap right here? That's going to be column one. You can rearrange the images here in order to try to make that a little bit more fluid. It can be a little tough. I've heard people say, "Oh, maybe we could have an order if we could kind of see the order that they're in." But it just sometimes takes a little trial. Just takes a little trial in order to get things kind of moved around to where maybe where you want them to go. So I'm just going to move it a little bit. Let's see if that makes a difference. There we go. So that worked. I was able to get it kind of more in a better order so that we've got it more streamlined right there. Okay. Okay. After this, I'm going to hop over to the order section. Now, we're going to really be digging deep in the order section next week, but this is more of the surface pieces for like how can it display to my customer? What are things that I can do to display to my customer? Now, this customer, I wasn't sure if they wanted the floral and planning. So, say that this section did not exist. This would be one of those examples where they don't always include the floral and planning, but sometimes they do want that. You can go in here to the templates. I have pre-built out a template for floral and planning to add into that proposal. So I can click right there where it says append to order. It's going to pull that information in so that it's already built out and you can just go in and fill out whatever you want. I know we're going to have 15 tables and you can put prices, kind of build out those things for whatever you need for those items. So that just allows you to quickly pull in stuff to flesh out that proposal. Something that is good here, just a couple of tips about display of your data. So a lot of people don't realize that you can control how it looks on your proposal here. So I'm going to duplicate this. I'm a fan of multiple things here. And I'm going to hop over to my portal just so that I can quickly show you what I'm looking at here. So right here, you can see I've got this venue and catering package. The reason why this looks different is because I have different settings on my section. So for my venue and catering package, if I click on the name right here, you can choose an image that may do that one. If I want to, I can show the section total or not. I took that off. In this case, I have it centered. I'll uncenter it. And this is how I can do the quantity, the price, and the subtotal. All right. Let me refresh over here so you can see those changes. You can freely change those. This is more of the traditional look for what you would have there. But since this is a package, I see that a lot. Since this is a package, you probably don't want to show the individual pricing. That's why I had those toggled off. So if we make that little change, let's see what that looks like. Okay. Now I didn't do a ton of changes, but I did change a few things. Okay. Let me toggle off I'm going to go ahead and center it so you can kind of see the difference whenever we're centering. Okay, so you can freely make changes here. Let me refresh one more time so that you can see that. Okay, that allows it to be centered. We're showing the section total rather than the individual pieces because this is a package. This is a package event of what we're doing here. Okay. Now, for the floral and planning, you can choose how that displays as well. In my case, whenever I pulled it in, it's going to have some certain things already in my templates set up in order for that to be laid out however you want those to lay out in the proposal. But you'll see those there. But you can display those. You can display those in different ways for your customer to see there. Let me go ahead and click exit. The other thing that I wanted to point out, I'm trying to move our faces around. The other thing that I wanted to point out was note that our guest count was 215. They told me my guest count was 215. Well, on my template, I went ahead and had my line items connected to my guest count. See that? It was already connected to my guest count. So I'm getting some of that work that's already done. If you set up a custom property, we have another custom property for bridesmaids and groomsmen where you can plug that information in. If you have that information there, it's going to automatically plug in. So we've got this connected to our guest count that it can already be displaying with that information. Now, for this customer, they do want to do like a premium bar package. So I'm going to import this from my catalog. There's my premium bar service right there. I'm going to get that integrated in, and we're going to do a count of 100 for that one, just to get that added in to the proposal, get that added into the total. Now, last thing, two more things that I'm going to show on this section before we move into the last piece. How to show possibilities, different ways to display line items for your customer. So maybe they don't know yet if they want this premium bar service. What I can do is I can grab that. I'm going to click on this little button right here and I'm going to click edit. And I'm going to change this to what I call a possibility. I'm going to move that to a possibility. Whenever you do that, it is going to keep it attached to that section so that you can see that right there, listed right there. On the portal, this is what it's going to look like. What a possibility does, it's so I'm going to scroll down. This is what it's going to look like. We've got our sections, but then we've got our possibilities for premium bar service. That's going to be there. It's going to be associated with that specific section so that you can see, okay, that is included there. The tough part about not displaying prices here is you can't really see. It's not clear what the price is for that to be added in there, but you can move something to a possibility. So it will show them whatever you're displaying on that section. Maybe the floral and planning one is a better one. So maybe if I do seating chart florals, let's change that one to a possibility. So I can show them that this is $150. So if they want to add that in, it'll be $150. So then they can see that whenever they're looking at the proposal. So let me refresh, coming down here. Okay. So we've got floral and planning, and then we've got the possibilities for that seating chart showing right there. So you can see the pricing. So then if they come back later and they say, oh yes, we do want the seating chart, that's a great idea. Why didn't we think of that? You can just grab that item and drag it right up into the proposal. So it's another way to display the data. One tip that I heard from somebody that has never left me, I was blown away when they told me this, was they told me that it does not matter what that customer asks for. Whenever they come in, whatever they say their budget is, and whatever they say, whatever line items that they want, they say every time for that first version before they book, they are going to meet the budget 100%. So the total at the bottom is going to be under the budget, but on the list it's going to show everything, but they put everything in possibilities that does not match the budget. So whenever they pull up that proposal for the first time and they're checking the bottom line, does this match the budget that I'm looking for? It's going to hit that budget every time. And he said the majority of the time they end up buying those extra things anyways. Even if it wasn't originally in the budget, they will add those in there. So possibilities are very powerful for upping that contract value for things that you may want. Okay. Now, those are different ways that you can display data to your customer. There are different sections and things for your line items that we will talk about next week because they are more back of house rather than front of house facing. Possibilities are front of house. Last thing that I'll talk about here is fees. Now, one thing for our Curate power users, people that have been using Curate for a long time, something that you do not see here is a fee section. That is something you do not see displayed here, is that fee section. It's because I have put it down here beneath the subtotal of the proposal. I have a service fee right here. I'm going to click on this little pencil icon. In that service fee, you can integrate a fee on that line item right there. Just have it linked in there. It's a percentage. For this event, it's 20% of all of my floral and food and beverage items. It is a 20% service fee. The only thing to keep in mind about this one is for the category, just make sure that you mark it as admin. Otherwise, you'll be at cross purposes with what you're looking for that service fee that's there. But it is so good. It does not draw a lot of attention into these additional fees that you're charging to the customer. But it will just show it down here at the bottom. Then you've got your sales tax and then you've got your total for your proposal. So it's a nice way of not calling a ton of attention to these extra fees that you do need to charge if you're going to be profitable for this event. It is a really nice way of managing that. Okay. Last thing here, as we start to wrap up, um, just a reminder that whenever you publish a proposal, the very first time you click that button, that is all that's going to do is create the live link of the proposal. Every time you click that button after that, it's going to update the live link of the proposal. Nothing ever gets sent to your customer without your knowledge on the proposal. If I want to share, this is how you can do the normal share, but say I wanted to share this portal without pricing. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click publish. Say that I wanted to send it over without pricing, you would just choose that second option. We were just talking about this one today, but I'll go ahead and show it off. This is what this proposal would look like if there was no pricing involved. You may not be at a place with this customer where you are ready to show any sort of pricing. See, there's no pricing on anything in the proposal, nor a total or payment section. So if you just want to send over the preliminaries of like, are we meeting the vision? Is this what you're wanting? Because you say we'll hit the budget. We'll make sure that you hit the budget, but this is preliminaries to make sure that our designs align or whatever that you want. So you do have that capability of sharing that with them. Okay. Now, last thing for these tokens, just keep in mind that that token um, is there. I'm going to jump over to the preview so that you can see it. I guess I could have showed you whenever I published it, but the token is it is there. See that how it displays, but it's just not going to autofill. So see how the allergies autofill, the wedding vision, it autofills. We have those tokens filled in there. They are going to autofill there. You just won't see it in the workroom. So if you want to just check the preview just to see, okay, did they actually fill out that question? I don't know. You can just click on the preview in order to see that. Okay. Also right here, I didn't write this one down, but I forgot. This little color palette right here, this is a place where you can manage the background color of your proposal. You can change the fonts. You can change the color of the font that's in here, the font sizes, the orientation of them. You know, if you want to change kind of what things look like, you totally have that possibility. You have that ability right here in the system. All right. Okay, we're starting to wrap up. We're reaching the end of the journey. I'll hit on one more piece before we step out. I'm going to jump back to this all events page and I'm going to do the this you can see this Union Station wedding, okay? If I click over here on the slide out, this overview, this is a piece that I wanted to talk about last week, but we ran out of time and we're getting close on time today. But um is this event slide out right here. You can see the same information whether you're in the event or outside of the event. One of the features that I have heard makes a huge impact on people's lives is this notes section. This is a place where you can write any sort of notes about this event. Every time I have a conversation with this customer, I can document it here. So I could say like, spoke with Amelia and she is moving forward with floral and design. Okay. I can leave that note on here. And every time that you do that, it's going to have the name of the user that left that note along with a date and a timestamp on there so that you can see all of the progression and all of those pieces. Now, anybody who's looking at these proposals, Brooklyn can come in later. She can also see that note section right there. All of the notes of the evolution of this event, you can track those right here. Again, here's the inquiries that we kind of talked about before. Those are going to be here as well, but this note section is so powerful for tracking those pieces. We're going to hit on a few more of these as we make changes in the activity log. We'll see those kind of a little bit next week. That'll wrap us up for today. I feel like there's never enough time to talk through all of the little intricate pieces of Curate, of things that you can implement to really change up your workflow, to get it all kind of flowing through. Join us next week. What we're going to talk about next week is going to be more of the nitty gritty. So just be sure that you're signed up for the earlier session if you're floral and or design or planning. The later session if you're more catering or venue focused. That's going to be those or both. If you want to see the things that you can do in both, you're totally welcome to join. It'll just change what we're focusing on next week. All right, we'll send over the recording. Share your tips in the Curate community. I'll also send over a link for a one-on-one training if you want to jump into a one-on-one training. And if you would like to try some of our Curate add-ons, I'll include that link as well. If you would like to try some of our Curate add-ons, just let us know. We're doing a free trial during this webinar education series so that people can kind of see it, can kind of see it in action. Next week, we're going to really be going over rentals and what that kind of looks like. So just let us know. But thank you for joining us again, and we'll see you next week. All right. Have a great week.